to move on
Code
to
stuff
the
I'll never
next
understand.
step. So first of all,
everything in every game is a choice, an intentional decision made by some developer or some designer that you probably don't think twice about. The speed that dialogue shows up on screen, the positioning and the beef behind the engine, and how are you going to ultimately make that game. You're probably going to gravitate towards following a tutorial online. Will emphasize
What did she say?
into thinking that you learned how to code, but then this is when you follow so many tutorials game engine is like, but you don't really do that actively unless you put in some extra steps. So every line of code you copy down, think to yourself, do I understand what this is doing? Document that the back gets tired, my head hurts, my neck hurts, any
position. Is an ad? Okay.
Duck like I am. The good news is that in this day and age, there are so many resources online to do it yourself.
Are you calling me to stop complaining and open Unity? I'm telling you to stop complaining about how you're not able to understand code when the information is literally at your disposal. Programming is literally one of those things that is so easy to do because you have so much at your disposal, dude. There's like 1,000,001 YouTube videos telling you about programming and what else would exist. And the thing is, you know, newsflash, this might be crazy, but if you don't know how to program and you're worried about with how fast tech is growing, it doesn't matter. What you know is very translatable to everything else. That is the beauty of programming, is that even though there are new things coming out, it's just old stuff, different name. That's what it is. Like, you don't gotta worry too much about it. Maybe you gotta adjust a little bit. Instead of using like an else if, it's called an if. You know, that's the worst that's gonna happen. You know, it's not end of the world. You learn a couple languages, you're gonna see like a bunch of other ones that are all related the same way. Like, you cannot be stressed about why it's so hard to do all this. You're saying I don't need the new 5090? You don't even need like anything above the 1000 series. You don't even need a GPU, man. You could literally program on like, dude, a Raspberry Pi. A Raspberry Pi is literally just the motherboard and like a little tiny processor and a little tiny like memory. That's all it is. That's all it is. And it is responsible single-handedly for being the most powerful one of the most powerful mini computers that could run very complicated code. You could do so much with a tiny Raspberry Pi. It's $100. Like that tiny, it's 100 Canadian dollars. It's 100 Canadian dollars. I'm sure it's like 60, like 10 US dollars with the economy that's going. But you could buy one of those, plug it in, put in some code, figure out how to do it, and play with it. Like, that's how easy it is. But on your computer, you can just learn to code something. Like, start with hello world. That's what you start with. You're stuck for coding. Start with hello world. Pick a programming language. You want to make games? Okay, pick a programming language. Pick Unity. Pick Unreal Engine. Pick Godot. Pick Lua. Pick Love 2D. Pick whatever it is. Whatever IDE or game engine you want to use. Pick whatever it is and then create a hello world project. You want to learn how to do servers? Okay, do some like backend stuff. Print out hello world on your little code. Set up your IDE, print hello world. That's all it is. You cannot be sitting there and being like, I don't know how to code. It's too daunting. It's too much. It's too heavy. Start somewhere. And listen. Let me pan to this real quick because I want Patrick in on this too. Listen. The biggest thing with programming, and I think the biggest thing that happens with a lot of things in life, and this could be like a bit of a TED talk, but not really TED talking, is programming is only as easy as you make it out to be, using the way that you can break down a big problem into a bunch of smaller problems that you can handle. Right? Remember that talk I did about the whole chicken thing that I was talking about? Comparing like chickens to eggs, chickens to games, chickens to code. Like, that's literally it. If you try to figure out how to cook a whole chicken, I don't want to refresh chat. I don't know. Don't distract me right now. Instead of cooking out a whole chicken, you got to figure out how like you start with like a chicken breast or a drumstick or like a wing or like whatever it is, or eggs. You can start with an omelet. Start with eggs. You know, technically it's part of the chicken. at some point in its life. Start there, but start with something. So, but you got to start. That is the biggest thing here, is that you cannot look at programming and be like, I got to learn programming. No. You do got to learn programming if you want to keep doing it. But really, what it boils down to is you learn programming, and then this programming gives you this programming, and then this programming gives you this code, and then from this code, you learn this code, and then from there, it all becomes the same. Oh, what do I want to do? I want to learn to code this. I want to learn to code that. I want to learn to code this. I want to learn to code that. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about that? What about that? What about... Literally, the world is your oyster, but at the core of it is like the same core. It all boils down to a few things. And it's literally just the logic of if statements, the logic of looping, and the logic of variables, and then some other data structures that you could store stuff in, like arrays and lists and stuff like that. It's literally it. You learn those. You don't have to learn everything about them either. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to learn everything about it. No one knows everything about all of those. Just the varying levels of your knowledge can give you varying degrees of knowledge into it. So if you know what a variable is and how to use it, if you know what if statements are and how to use them, if you know what loops are and how to use them, if you know what an array is and how to use them, look at that. Congratulations. You have basically solved 80% of programming. You are a programmer. You are doing major things already, major moves. That is literally as easy as it gets. On top of that, you could stack different things now that literally just use those in order to expand your knowledge, to expand your project. But if you attack this and you're like, I want to make a Minecraft mod. I want to get into game dev, so I'm going to make the next GTA. I'm going to make GTA 6.5 myself. You know what I mean? I want to make the next Facebook. You're just going to sit there and you're going to be like, well, I don't know how to start. What do I do? It seems so much. I don't want to learn how to code. The coding is so hard. No, Facebook started off with, like, I'm pretty sure, with a print statement. Hello world. You know? Could have been like a class function. Whatever it is. You could have set up anything. But it starts off somewhere. You know? Like, it starts off with the tiniest of things. And that's how interviews happen too. It's like, okay, make Facebook. I'm not going to make Facebook. Okay, could you make a list? Could you make, give me one user. Okay, you make like a variable of user. Right? Oh my God, you have a user now. Congratulations. Okay, now I want this user to have more users. So you build an array and you put multiple users in the array. Whoa, now you have many users. Okay, now I want to say that this user has these guys as friends. How do I do that? Oh, I could put in every array, I could put more arrays. I could put an array inside an array. I could be like, okay, the first user has all these users as friends. And then this second user has all these users as friends. And then all these users as friends, blah, blah, blah. And now look at that. You already have a user to many users relationship built into your code. And what have you done? You've only used variables and arrays. I haven't even done if statements or loops yet. You know what I mean? Like, that's how easy it is. That's how beautiful it is. You just can get into it and you can just start doing stuff and things just make sense. And the beautiful thing is, there is no wrong answer. There are more optimal solutions, but there is no wrong answer. That is the beautiful thing. If you can get it to work and keep it, depending on what you're doing, keep it secure, keep it quick, keep it fun, whatever it is you're doing, as long as you're not taking away from the core essence of the project that you're making, you should be fine. You just need to keep doing things, but start somewhere. And this goes as well for life in general. If you have big problem, oh my God, how am I supposed to buy a house? Huge problem. How am I supposed to do that? I have no idea how I'm supposed to do that. There's no way. How am I supposed to know what I want to do for the rest of my life? That's a big question, open-ended. A lot of people have that problem. How am I supposed to know what I want to do with the rest of my life? Well, if your only question you're asking yourself is, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Well, surprise, surprise, Unless you get hit by an epiphany, or like Jesus literally like hits you across the forehead with his fingers and goes like, buddy, you want to do this? You're not going to figure out a solution. So what do? You break it down to smaller chunks. And that's why the first question that people ask you is, what do you like to do? That's just the same question, or like a part of that question, but asked in a different, more bite-sized format. What do you like to do? Oh, I like playing games. I like talking. I like making friends. Oh, have you tried being like a TV show host? Have you tried being a streamer? Have you tried being a professional gamer? Oh, none of those I like too much. Oh, okay, what don't you like about those? Oh, I don't like the fact that I have to learn so hard to be a professional gamer. I just like enjoying games for the fun of it. What about not streaming? Oh, I don't like the fact that I have to talk for so long. Okay, so why don't you just try to be like a coach? You know, you could learn to make friends that way. You don't have to talk so much. You make your own hours. You could teach people how to game things. If you have a specific game that you like, maybe you could go down that path. But the idea is not, you might not end up with an answer, but it opens up the conversation. It's like, okay, now you're answering multiple questions from the beginning where you just didn't know what you wanted to do to now, I like games. I like to do this. I don't like coaching. I don't like being a professional gamer. I like talking. I like friends. I don't like drawing. I don't like the coding. I like blah, blah, blah. Like you have all these things, like you build your little roadmap. Think of it like connecting arcs of a lightning strike. You know what I mean? Like, you know how you see like lightning goes like that when it does that? Like when you see that, that's it connecting off of like hotspots. And you're just trying to build these hotspots, these nodes, to correctly connect your brain and wire it so that you understand things that you didn't originally understand. You know? Like if you were to tell someone back in like the Stone Age, invent fire, they'd be like, dude, what are you smoking? Well, they wouldn't say that because you couldn't smoke anything because there was no fire. But like, the equivalent of what are you smoking? What are you drinking? Are you drinking the weird water that's like the weird red water that's in the middle of nowhere? Then they'd be like, okay, well, we want to get warm. Okay, what do we do to get warm? Well, it's always warm when we stand by this weird red water that we weren't supposed to drink. Oh, you mean like the lava or whatever it is? Yeah, like lava. Okay, so if we could get that and move it around, that'd be perfect. Okay, so how do we move it around? What do we need with that? We gotta build something to move it around, but it burns everything it touches. So what do? We gotta make sure that it's like, we can move it somewhere that doesn't burn everything down. So what do? You put like a bunch of stuff that burns and you put it together and try to move it out. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, you put stuff in a different container, you try to pour it in, take smaller doses, whatever it is. But like you'll figure it out. You just gotta break it down to smaller bits and pieces. If you start like hiding away or like throwing things out the window simply because it seems like too daunting of a task, you will not move. You will not move. That's a fact of the matter. You will stay where you are. You will not do anything. You will just sit there, complain, cry about it. I am a victim of this. I am saying this out of pure like sympathy or empathy, whichever the one is that says that we both feel the same thing. I live through this on a day-to-day basis. I will look at things and I'll be like, I don't want to do this, man. This is so daunting. I hate this. I hate the way it looks. I hate the way it feels. Like you don't have that. Passion. So passion and motivation. No, empathy. Empathy, yes, yes. But for instance, other things like that could help out is like motivation, passion, and ambition. These three, I'm sure there's more, but these three are the ones that come to mind, are the things that could maybe help you bridge some of those gaps. So instead of having to break down one big project into 100 different ones, 100 different smaller ones, you could maybe break it down to like 30 smaller ones. And if you're passionate enough about it or ambitious enough about it or motivated enough about it, you could make do with just 30 and just bridge the gap yourself with just through sheer willpower. And then come back and learn whatever you're missing later on down the line. That's okay. But that's the idea. That's what they help with. Now, discipline is a different monster entirely. Discipline is what keeps you going till 100, right? Like, let's say your road, like you have the project to build a road. You're building a road from point A to point Z. You got to go through B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. That's the way you know how to do it. That's the only way you know how to do it. Someone told you A to Z. Okay, I'm going to try to go through B, C, and D. I'm going to take it one step at a time. So you've already thinking about breaking down the big problem into smaller problems. Okay, now you're going to go A to B, and then B to C, and then C to D, and then E to F. But then you actually decide like, oh, actually, I have enough passion, enough ambition, enough drive, enough motivation, I could go A to F, F to J, J to M, and M to X, and then X to Z. You know, you could just fill the gaps. You could be like, oh, I could do all that. I could just do that. I just need those 5 stops. And you're okay. But then discipline comes in and it keeps you going. It's like, hey, you made it to M. Now you just have to do X and Z. You might be halfway through the alphabet, but you're only 2 points away from your end goal. Should you find your motivation and passion again? If you don't, then you already know you got to keep going anyway, because you got to get to Z anyway. And that's where discipline comes in. Discipline keeps you going. M to N, N to O, O to P, P to Q. Your ambition comes back, your passion comes back, your drive comes back. Okay, you're at R. Okay, we go R to Y or R to X. Perfect, R to X. Okay, directly to X. Okay, now we can go to Z. Then we're just 2 letters away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it is. That's like the general consensus of things. But if you cannot break things down to a smaller break, to a smaller piece, it will just hold you like poison. It will literally just like sit in your system like poison, hurt you, kill you, bother you from the inside, and there's no solution unless you do something about it. That's it. That's it. But take whatever big project it is that it seems daunting. You want to learn how to draw? Okay, learn to draw. You're not going to be Picasso off your first drawing. And I know everybody says this. You're not going to be an expert from the first time. It's not going to be perfect from the get-go. It's not going to be any of that stuff. Of course not. You're going to draw absolute garbage. You're going to draw absolute trash. You're going to draw things that will make people rethink their careers in drawing. And that's okay. If you want to keep doing it, keep doing it. If you don't want to keep doing it, go as far as you want to keep doing it and then stop. That's okay. Unless it's something you want to do for the rest of your life, in which case you have to introduce discipline. Discipline only matters when it's something that you think your life depends on it, or you really want to do it, but you're afraid you might run out of passion or ambition or drive. That's where discipline comes in. I speak to you from experience. I speak to you from personal experience. Take this with a grain of salt. Take this whatever advices you want. But this is how I feel about literally anything in general. Coding, I think, is one of those things that is very accessible because everybody has a computer. Everybody has the internet. Everybody has YouTube videos. Everybody who wants to programming probably knows how a YouTube video works. And you can just watch people. You can just watch people do stuff. And you can just do what they do. And then you learn what they learn. And then you just keep doing that over and over and over. Every once in a while, you freestyle a little bit. You know, this person's making Facebook. You want to make Twitter. You know, who cares? Whatever it is, you know. You start freestyling things. And that's okay. That's how you learn. Programming is like the best of both worlds or the worst of both worlds, depending on your perspective of things. Programming is both a logical career, but also an artistic one, a creative one. If you look at, the reason I say creative is because it's not like math. Math has no creativity. Math is purely, unless you get to like the very, 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 very deep depths of math logic, that maybe you can need some creativity, but it's very limited. But it's not like math because no 2 people will solve the same problem the same way. No way. Unless it's simple enough, in which case there's probably just an easy way to do it that people will just do the same way. But like any problem that has any layers of complexity above 1 is solvable very differently by different people. And that's why it keeps it creative. But it's also logical because if you write the same code the same way every single time, you will get the exact same result every single time. Okay? That's it. So trust in your learning. Trust in what you want to learn. Trust in the code that you build. And make stuff you love. As long as you love making stuff, keep making stuff, man. There's no race. There's no deadline. There's no goal. There's no comparison. There's no fight. There's no competition. There's nothing like that. No. It's just you, yourself, and your code. Do with it what you will. If I ever do learn to code, it'll probably be Java first so I can inject stuff into Minecraft all cute, you know? Yeah, you could try with that. I wouldn't suggest learning like modding a game or learning uh changing different like playing with the existing code bases to start with, because that will just confuse you. It's like learning English by opening a dictionary. You're not gonna learn that way. You just gotta learn by doing things yourself. Speak the language, try it yourself, make mistakes. Why isn't it working? Do your research, do this stuff back and forth, all this stuff, do your reading, whatever you gotta do, you'll get it to work. You just cannot start at the end goal and then panic when things don't work your way. You know? Like some people thrive on that actually. They prefer to throw themselves into the deep end and then figure out how to swim then. Most people will be like, don't ever come near me with that. I will die. That is deadly. Anyway, end of spiel. But yeah, I searched up this video because I just wanted to show you like this. There's literally a video that says, as a beginner, and Juniper, I think, is one of the bigger content creators in this case. I think she's just a bit advertisey. I don't know much of her content, but you could try watching her video. Maybe she'll like shed some light on stuff. What is this? Is it pink or pink 4070? How do I get this? How do I get this?